Good evening, everyone. It's Tom Sidney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Psych Club, from the Tom Numbers Show. Top of your game and news with Tom Numbers. And I've got my buddy Matt from Matt Geiger from Midas Gold, our official sponsor for the show. We're going to be looking at the news, the current stuff in the money markets, all things gold and silver, and a special edition of News with Tom Numbers. How are you, buddy?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's been very, very busy. There's lots of things going on, lots of things publicly, lots of energies changing. A lot of people are noticing things that are kind of going on, and we're heading into the storm. Storm is 85 right. Silver. Yeah.
I meant to tell you, you were right.
What was I?
You're right about all those big players selling off billions in stock.
Ah, they did, yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
It was like 11 or 12 billion or something.
Yeah.
And they'll keep doing that, but you're right.
Yeah.
As well as the, crummy economic data. So it's only going to get worse, man. I mean, did you see these reports? Let me pull this up. So I do these, I forget the name of the sites, some locals. It's like some communities where you can look stuff up, like what, you plug in like where you live and you can get updates. It's almost like a Facebook style format, but like people can talk about, did you see the person that was walking down the street with a hoodie on? And,
Okay. I don't know the name of that, but yeah, that sounds good.
Banking. All right. So this is one of the posts. This is from a couple days ago. Bank ATMs, a few days ago, went to Wells Fargo, Tatum and Bell, which is just cross streets here. One ATM said no cash. Others said only 20s. Went to Chase yesterday, Cave Creek and Bell, which is streets. Neither ATM worked. Went to Chase today, Cave Creek and Beardsley. ATM right inside, ATM inside out of order, had to go inside the bank. So there's actually, and this is just one of many reports throughout the country. People couldn't get access to ATMs. They had to go in the bank to grab cash. So I think this sort of signals, cutting off people's ability to get cash. This could be the beginning of digital, where we might be here.
Yeah, something is afoot. Something's coming. President Trump said, didn't he, on Truth Social, he said it's over, and that probably means many things. But people were tying that to a lot of the banking things. There's all this stuff with Iraq that apparently happened on. So we're today, what, Wednesday? No, we're Tuesday, yesterday. So on the 11th, March 11th, yesterday, there was something. Well, there was Iraq. There's been stuff with Iraq trundling on. I know what it was. So the Federal Reserve no longer gives out loans.
Right.
No longer give out loans, and the way they make money is to print money and then charge interest on it.
Yep.
And so that hoovering system, which is what it is, it's like a Pac-Man just gobbling everything up. We know from Steve Mnuchin from the Trump administration back in 2020, it was dissolved into the Treasury. But in terms of public disclosure, there's all these things now going to start to be more and more apparent for everybody. And yesterday, on March 11th, 2024, it was announced. Well, I guess it was announced. It's their official that no more loans. So if they can't print money, then they're a dead beast, And
they need to print money to sustain the money already printed.
Exactly. It's a perpetual, isn't it? It's a hoover. It's an economic hoover. It's just, you go in and you can just devalue everyone's time, work, labor, any savings they've got. They do it through inflation, through the Fed printing of money, quantitative easing. But if they've stopped that, i.e. they can't loan anything out anymore, that's a big sign.
Problem, reaction, solution.
Yes.
Right. They're creating the problem. They're looking for the desired reaction, and they're going to try to come in with their solution. Just always think about it in those terms.
Yeah.
It's always problem, reaction, solution. Although in this case, what'll be nice is Trump's anticipating the problem, reaction, and he's got his solution.
Yeah.
And I think that's gold and silver backed in part.
Yeah.
In part.
It is precious metals backed, and like you said eloquently, commodities, actual things, tangible assets, and the most basic one is silver and gold. I mean, he said, the storm is 85 silver, awakening, matrix. However you want to look at it, it's changing. Something's coming, and but that thing for the Fed to no longer be able to loan is massive, because that won't take long until that starts to. It's like an iceberg, isn't it? It's like Titanic. It's hit an iceberg now. That has hit an iceberg. There's a tear in the system, not like behind the scenes or anything. That's an actual disclosed tear, and that's only a matter of time until that catches up, and that will be quick when it comes.
And when the Fed tries to pull whatever it is they're going to try to pull, because it's all, the CBDC, which is what they want to, right? That's a solution they want to bring after the problem, the reaction, right? Is the CBDC.
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve, they are, sorry, I lost my train of thought. They have an on-balance sheet and they have an off-balance sheet, right? So the on-balance sheet is the one that you can see. I think it's got, last time I checked, it had like $8 trillion on it. Tremendous amount of money. Probably higher than that. It's probably 10, 12 now, if I had to guess. That's the one that everybody can see. The off-balance sheet is the one that no one sees. And there's no way to access it. So the off-balance sheet at the Fed, my guess, $2 quadrillion.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's way bigger. Yeah.
That's my guess. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to force enough public opinion to audit the Fed, which they've never been audited in their entire history. So if you audited the Federal Reserve and you got a hold of that off balance sheet and people see not trillion, quadrillion dollars, okay?
Yeah, 1,000 times more.
People are going to be like,
where's all that?
The F is going on here, right?
Yeah, where's all that?
That's where you can start changing hearts and minds.
Yeah. And talking to the CBDC, central bank, wasn't there, who was it? Was it the Supreme Court? There was an entity that said they're not going to go down that route. Did you see that in the last few days?
I didn't see it. It's been hard to catch up with news over the last few days. I've been busy here. The phones have been ringing off the hook.
There's something out there people can put in they'll know what it is. I didn't study it in loads, but I get the main things come through. It was there somewhere, and it seemed like quite an official thing. It was saying they're not going to go down that route, or they were going to stop, try and prevent or stop that. There wasn't so it's like, if that's been put on hold or stopped, then it's like, well, what's the other route? Then that points really clearly to President Trump's solution. There was another piece to this. What was it? There was another piece to it. Anyway, so that's not that seems like that's been parked. But yeah, the whole thing. Oh, I know. So Frank, what's it called? Frank Dodds. It's a piece of legislation. So if your bank is not Basel III,
Dodd Frank.
There you go. So if your bank is not Basel III compliant, and that ties in with the ISO 222 or 2022 regulations as well. So that I know that's linked to the crypto. President Trump mentioned crypto this week. He said didn't think it would be something they'll get rid of, because it's kind of let it see as it goes. But the Dodd-Frank thing, if your bank is not, if it's not Basel III compliant, to stop this hemorrhaging, because the Titanic it's hit the iceberg now. The Fed's no longer, it's defunct for ages, but publicly it can no longer produce and do what the mandate mechanism, producing out of thin air, that can't happen anymore. So they're going to try and hoover from everywhere else, i.e. people's bank accounts. So people really need to listen to this. Like we've been telling you for a good, few weeks now, get in touch with Matt. But seriously, for your own, for your own sanity, give Matt a call this week. Give him a call today. Because if your bank is not compliant with Basel III, and a lot of them aren't, through the Dodd-Frank, they have the ability legally, even though it's a corrupt system, they have the ability legally to take your currency and just take it and put it onto their balance sheet as opposed to yours. So that's a really serious issue. So if you're in the wrong bank, you're going to have a problem if you're in the wrong one. So you need to move it or put it into assets, put it into precious metals, because the Dodd-Frank thing does still exist for the banks that aren't compliant.
And as well as the cryptos have been doing, right? I mean, I own some crypto, no doubt about it, but I've interviewed Juan. I've talked to Juan about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an invention.
It's a slush fund, isn't it? It's a naughty slush fund.
Come on, Satoshi Nakamoto, some Japanese guy that no one's ever seen or heard of.
Sounds like the guy in the Matrix, the Keymaster, just eating on the subway.
Exactly. Some guy no one's ever heard of. I mean, talk about a conspiracy theory. I mean, this is what people are literally, and it's like it's cool to ride it, but have an end goal of, maybe take your profits, take what you have, stick it into the physical before that collapses.
Yeah.
Right. Put it in some land. Go buy the house that you wanted. Right. If you made a fortune, this is the time. This is the time to position yourself. What I like about gold and silver is it's not only a store of value, but it's a means of exchange. So this is the type of stuff that the real opportunities, it's not right now. It's on the other side of this when Trump comes back. That's where you can take your money and make you can make yourself the new billionaire of the new times. If you know what you're doing with investing. I'm not a sophisticated investor, right? I do some basic stuff, right? I'm no genius, but I'm smart enough to know that, hey, if I got some dry powder on the other side of this, I mean, you got some serious firepower.
Yeah, exactly.
This country's going to go up like a rocket ship.
Yeah, it is. And I'll repeat it. Yesterday, what happened yesterday? Public disclosure on them not being able to print any more money. That's going to, DOF Frank is going to take place. And unfortunately, some viewers watching this are going to be in the DOF Frank category. And if you don't know what it is, look it up now. As soon as you finish watching this show, look it up, or even pause now and look it up. And if your bank is not compliant, and this is the thing I found out, the banks that are will tell you, and the banks that aren't will be like, and they don't want to reveal that because they know it's only a matter of time. And so if you're in an account with a bank that isn't compliant, you're really going to get into trouble pretty quick. You're going to be caught. The tide has turned and it's coming in, and you don't want to be washed out and have your trunks down. So look at it today. Look at it now. Like as soon as you see this, as soon as you hear me and Matt talk about it, research it, because some of you, bless you, are in that category, and your accounts are going to be susceptible to the Dodd Frank, and people are going to start having their accounts frozen, and they won't be able to access their Matt. If you've got all your savings, you can't access it. And this isn't a scare thing. This is just telling you this is what's going on. So we're just highlighting what's going on, and you need to make the necessary adjustments. If they're not letting people take cash out of certain banks, like just, imagine if you've got loads and you can't take that out because you're in the wrong type of bank that is not compliant. That's a big problem. So you need to act on it yesterday. Seriously, act on it yesterday.
Imagine having a retirement account, IRA, 401k, right?
Yeah.
What are the banks doing right now? They're getting rid of employees, right?
They're closing. Wasn't yesterday? There was a thing. 222 branches already being closed or about to be closed in the US. And they named them. All these banks, physical branches are gone.
It's going to affect the commercial real estate market. It's everything's coming down, and those people that those banks let go of are probably the first people, or probably a lot of the customer service people.
Yeah.
So during a crash, you think you're going to be able to call your financial institution and say, "Hey, I want to liquidate my positions." It's like, no, you got to do that ahead of time. You have to see the stuff coming in advance. Okay, let's say this happens this time next year, right? Or later this year. It's better that you do it now before the stuff happens rather than waiting to that time period where you're not going to be able to.
This year, it's between now and that election. It's sometime now.
You're not going to get through to these people. They understand that they have you trapped. They understand that they can make everything look good, but if they're not picking up their phones, what are you going to do? How are you going to do anything with your money? How are you going to do anything with your IRA?
Do people remember, and I had examples of this, and you probably did, Matt. Do you remember the first few weeks of 2020 of lockdowns? I had to call my banks and credit card, all that, and everything was so slow. They didn't close like you lock out your accounts, but put in things like credit cards and stuff on holiday. That took forever. I remember one institution, like I called them, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. And each time was about a couple of hours wait because most people were at home. And then you hear the dog barking in the background and all that. And then, they've disconnected and you can't get through it. That whole thing. And then it was like, we'll put you on a holiday payment of credit card for 3 months. But then you had to renew it. And then you get into problems with it later. You're like, heck with this. So imagine that scenario. But then you can't, then you've actually got you've got your actual savings in those accounts, and then you can't access them. So you've had a taster of it before in 2020. So just cast your mind back to that, because loads of people have gone through a similar experience. Then fast forward to now, whenever this starts to happen, and it's about to start, you don't want to be caught out where you just cannot physically move. And they're like, sorry, we're trying, but we can't. You don't want to be caught in that situation.
And remember, that dog barking that you heard in the background?
Yeah.
That was the dog of your customer service rep, because he's working from home. That's the dog barking in the background.
Yeah. That's it.
That's the scary part.
Yeah. That's it. And then it was, you put on, you know, there was some I can think, I haven't thought about before, but now we're talking about it, I can remember certain credit cards I was trying to just, you know, reconfigure. It was like, I just gave up on some of the institutions. I gave up after 3 or 4 attempts of 2 hours at a time. I was just like, I just gave up on.
It's funny you mentioned the COVID example, because these are the little nooks and crannies of the banking system that no one ever thinks of, is your ability just to get in touch with your bank.
Yeah.
And transact in your account. And that's what the same time period you're talking about. That's what it really did for me, is it opened up my eyes to these little nooks and crannies in the system where they could just shut things down just based on the phone lines, just your ability to communicate.
Yeah.
Right. So I think what gold and silver is not a get rich quick scheme, right? It's not like
it's preserving it. It's taking whatever is on your account and you put it into something that you own, that you physically own. And it can't just be wiped off digitally off a screen. And you're like, well, you know.
So yeah, I think people get it. I think
they do. And it's just, if you've been on the fence, it's just saying we're reporting what's happened in the news. Yesterday they stopped the loan from Federal Reserve, and that drives the beast. If that stopped, that tells you very quickly it's coming. You know, like I said, they've made the hole in the Titanic now, and it's only a matter of time until the water starts it's filling with water now, and then very quickly it will ricochet and it will sink. So you've got to be on the right side. And there are places, there are havens. So the white hats have produced, you know, there are safe banks you can put your stuff in. There are safe assets like gold and silver. But if you're out, you need to check. You need to check, and if you don't get an answer, then get the answer. Don't just take no for an answer. If someone says, "Oh, I don't know," there's a certain thing on the line for you. If you don't know, if they don't know, that's not a good sign. You need to put it somewhere that's clearly and can produce the legislation for you. For example, like HSBC is one that is compliant. They're very readily available, and they'll send it to you. It's there, it's public. But other banks, some of them aren't, they don't know. And you try and find it and it's not online. So that's a telltale, you know.
And there's good news too, right? We get to the other side of it. You can make it through this time period. If you can just make it through this time period, we're looking at something amazing on the other side. We've talked about it at length, right, in prior episodes. There's going to be great things that happen in this country, and I think your money allows you to participate in that greatness. It allows you to enjoy it. It allows you to take part in that, new business, new markets, new this, new that. There's probably things we don't even know about, things to deploy that money into that, maybe you don't have to work another day in your life. You got $50,000 of savings, you stick it into gold and silver, right? You huddle up, you make sure you don't get hit by the shrapnel, and you come out of the foxhole, war's over.
Yeah.
Right? And you rebuild. Because Juan even said, I mean, if you listen to what he's been talking about, it's going to take probably 4 or 5 years for this country to be rebuilt. And I recall him saying something in recent months saying Trump's going to be basically made king for a period of time. In other words, he's going to have the ultimate authority for a period of time. Thank God it's him, right? Because I'm not worried about him abusing that power. Other people would. But he's going to have to restructure things probably single-handedly. And this is where people, I think this is going to be the point where people really, now you're going to see Trump. You've seen nothing yet. Now you're going to see what this guy's capable of.
Yeah.
Everything else is just like, build the wall, stop illegal immigration. Oh, look at the markets, right? The markets under Trump, they're all fictitious anyway. All he proved, we're going to look back and we're going to realize all he proved was that any president before him could have done exactly that. Could have made everybody in the country that was in the market a fortune.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's all he proved. But he understands it's all fake. He's just keeping up with appearances. He's just keeping up with the optics.
Yeah.
Wait till you see what this guy does.
Yeah.
It's going to be incredible. I want a piece of that. I want to get involved in that,
Yeah.
I I want to have some dry powder to throw at that and build some real wealth, right? Could be a total restructuring of, you know, these coastal city liberals, you know, these idiots who think they know everything, right? They're an expert on any subject. You know what was enlightening to me, Tom? It was the day within the last couple of years that I realized how little I knew, how dumb I was, right? And that was the most humbling thing for me, because now it's like, hey, we're going to relearn history. We're going to relearn what really took place. All these, you know, Vietnam and World War II and World War I, right? We have some idea. I mean, we've had some pretty good anons coming forward, including yourself, right? Putting these events together, right? We're all, we've all been bystanders, not understanding events and their true meaning, right? Kid by the side of the road. So we're gonna all have to we're gonna all have to relearn history, and to me, that's exciting. To these other people out there who maybe hold a lot of wealth right now, these are the people that are in for the real wake up call.
Yeah. It's interesting you said about Trump being king. I think so. Trump is king. It's 157 Brooklyn Bridge, and I think it's the Simpsons as well. The Simpsons have done a lot of predictions on it, you know. But yeah, even the Batman analogy. So in the Batman Begins, at the end of that, or is it the dark? No, end of the Batman Begins. Wayne Manor is burnt down. It's rubble, and then he says, "Well, I'll build it back brick by brick." You know, even saying that makes me think of BRICS. You know, the whole currency thing with Brazil and Russia and India.
Double meanings. Yeah,
Canada, South Africa. Yeah, double meanings. And BRICS is 51, the way they spell that without the K. And brick and 51's Batman. It's also great. It's also Grok. And Grok is I need to look at that, but Grok is this thing on Twitter, on X. It seems to be like the kind of AI that can self-check everything. And Elon's just apparently said he's going to let that become open source, which is going to ramp up the whole. It's like you can't stop it then. It's like, okay, so people can put out truth. It can be verified through this AI that's under the direction of, well, it's under the direction of the White Hats, isn't it? It's in X. But Grok apparently is this thing that's going to just change the game as well. It's going to push it, tilt it in, you know, the good guys and the rest of us.
I mean, AI can be used for great things too. You know,
AI is going to be like, if you don't need to, AI is going to do all the silly jobs.
Yeah,
if people want to do them, but that's what it's going to be. It's like, who does all the manual? Like, it's going to be AI. Like, you know, your software, but be physical as well. That's what's going to happen, I think. Yeah. Because artificial intelligence is Trump part of the deal. 203. That's what it comes to. And it's like, okay, I've known that for a while, and I'm like, okay, that's what it is. It's like, okay, so the best is yet to come. So everyone's got super amounts of wealth. It's all shared evenly. Then you've got this other faction of society that is serving you, doing all the things that need to be done, building it back. And there will come a point, and I've thought this for a while, but others have been saying recently about, because of the level of technology that we'll get to, you won't even need wealth. You know, you'll be able to just produce and print, you know, a car, you know, through 3D printer, whatever, it'd be 5D printed, but you know, so everything will be done. Yeah, whatever you want. It's like, oh, I want that. You probably manifest it instantly anyway, you know, so it's like all that stuff will eventually go, but it's a transition. It's a transition to greatness. Transition is 139, which is money exchange. Christopher Nolan, he just won the Oscar. Nolan, in numbers, is 56, and Oscar is 56. And Nolan, who I've been saying for ages, is a white hat director. And I cheered. I don't even think Oppenheimer is his best film. You know, it's a good film, but it's more kind of in that thing of it's a biopic film, and JFK's mentioned in it. There's the whole thing with, you know, pushing the button and all that stuff. But I think it's others of his films are far better, myself personally, just because of the intricacies and the stuff they're saying. But it seems fitting that maybe that might be the last Oscar show that we see in its current format. Nolan said, we're just at the beginning of film and where this will go, this medium. But I think he was maybe saying, Wouldn't it be quite fitting? It's like the guy, the elephant in the room that's never won an Oscar, personally, as best film or director, and he should have had it ages ago. What a way to, like, for White House to, okay, we're going to give it to our boy. So the very last Oscar win is Oppenheimer, and Nolan just before that, the director. It's like, that makes sense, you know, that makes sense. Because, and the reason for it is he filmed in Dark Knight Rises, the third Batman, he filmed Wayne Tower was physically at Trump Tower. And he says the word Trumps in Inception. Inception's 105, which is Matt Geiger. And in Interstellar, there's references to things. And also JFK is mentioned in Oppenheimer, the most recent one. And get this, so in Interstellar, they go off to save the world, but they travel through space and time, change time and dimensions. But there's a guy called Donald, played by John Lithgow. And McConaughey looks back, and one of his kids is called Tom, and the other one's called Murph. And Murph, or Murphy in numbers, is 76 Thomas. And I've got a cousin called Emma Murphy, who's the sister of Paul, my cousin, who gives me all the numbers with all this. But anyway, he says, he looks back at Don Lithgow, and he says, make sure you look after my kids, save my kids, Donald. And I was like, he's just saying Donald Trump saves the children, as this other guy goes off and does another part of the expedition into another dimension of the universe and time.
Is that Christopher Nolan?
Yeah. With McConaughey, it's Christopher Nolan.
That's his best movie then.
Yeah.
That movie's incredible. Incredible movie. I can watch
and you
that.
You got the talking bookcase, the bookcase.
Yes.
And that was my first part. When I met Ivanka Trump, my cousin Paul died. I met these two people that had the same date of birth as my cousin, 118. And I was like, he's talking to me through the bookcase, because Nolan's film will come out just a matter of months before me and Paul both spoke about it. And there's even other personal references to look at the names on the bookshelf. And there's other stuff like building houses in Inception and Dunkirk. So Nolan did Dunkirk, which comes to 88 in numbers. And it's metaphorically like all of us Anons joining the war on little boats, doing our bit on YouTube, talking to, going back across. We don't know what we're going into, but we're going to do our part, on little rowing boats or canoes or whatever it is. But 88 is Dunkirk, Trump. And then between that and the next film, which was Tenet, 64, 8 times 8 is 88, Trump. Christopher Nolan did a little tiny movie, which is like 8 or 9 minutes long, short film. It's called Key, Q-U-A-Y. Key, like a key, like where you dock your boat. But it had nothing to do with boats. It was like these puppeteers. It was I was like, what's that? And I was like, it's Q Key. And it comes in between 88 Dunkirk and then 2020 Tenet comes out. 8 times 8, 64 Tenet, which is also Jubilee. And it's Key, this little short movie in the middle by Christopher Nolan is Q Key. And it's like, he gets Leonardo DiCaprio to say in Inception, he says positive is 115, which is Art of the Deal, which is the date of the election, 11/5 this year. And he says positive emotion trumps negative emotion every time. Negative is 83, which is election. Positive is 115. It's a direct bang on the nose reference to the election of 2024, because it's November 5th, 11/5, which is positive. But he uses the word trumps, and then he does JFK at the end of Oppenheimer. He's a white hat director. That's what it is.
It really got me thinking with that bookshelf.
Yeah. The bookshelf.
It really got me thinking.
What are you thinking?
Somebody's behind the book. Somebody's in the bookshelf trying to communicate.
Exactly. Right? That's it. That's exactly it. And who was it? It was himself.
It was himself, right? Right. It's Matthew McConaughey, right?
It was himself. It was future self. So it's like, I asked myself, well, who gives me these numbers? I definitely know my cousin Paul does. I know my grandparents Eileen and Sydney do. And I think there are others. But I also have thought, hang on, I think there could quite easily be a version of myself in the future that I haven't met yet, but they're looking at me. I'm looking at me, giving me this stuff. Because I'm giving it, I don't have to work hard for it. I have to put the yards in and do the actual work of working them out. But it's not like I go around for hours on end trying to find a bit of, it just comes to me. Came to me just before, watching stuff on Knight Rider with David Hasselhoff. I've met David.
Send me the photo.
What's that? Yeah, you
Send me
see
the
the
photo.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I was doing a decode on Johan Cruyff. I spoke to Matt Letitia, soccer player here is the truth. I think Johan Cruyff's in witness protection. In fact, I know he is. He was a world soccer star. He died in 2016. If you do Johan Cruyff, it comes to 127, which is November 5th, the Ace of Spades. And then if you do the date of his death, which was April 24th, that comes to 238. And you add them together, comes to the Witness Protection Program 365. I'm just saying, who gave me that? Someone out there's talking to me through the bookcase. Bookcase comes to 71, which is Psych, as in my channel, Psych Club. Bookcase Club. Something big is happening, Matt. It's great to and you're getting it. You're like something talking to me through the bookcase.
Just the analogy from Interstellar, you know, with the bookcase. Now that it's like it's hitting me now, it's making sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning just like everybody else. So, sometimes things just click, and it just so happens it's clicking with me on air. So
brilliant, isn't it? I'm getting the chills.
Yeah.
The multiplying, getting the John Travolta's. It's brilliant. It's just like something is coming. It's coming. Even Christopher Nolan's company is Syncopy Limited. It's SYNCOPY. And I need to find the video, but on YouTube, if you look up Syncopy and Tenet's all about reversing the flow of time and about how the future talks back to you. Christopher Nolan's a super private guy, doesn't have a mobile phone, he doesn't have an email. And I'm like, well, how did you get in contact? Anyway, this guy, there's him and his wife, Emma Thomas. Her name's Thomas. Again, Emma, my cousin, Emma Murphy, and stuff. Everything's like, there's a guy called Nolan Bushnell who invented Atari. It's just so, anyway, it just keeps circumventing on itself. But this company, this guy or woman, whoever made this video on YouTube, talks about perhaps Syncopy, this company of Nolan and his wife, has two secret directors. No one knows who they are. They're saying perhaps that came from the future. I think there's a really good case for that. I think Nolan's material is somehow coming from the future, and he's picking it up and he's producing it. Because he shows it in his film in Tenet. They do a Dropbox from the future. They leave it and then they pick it up, and then it goes in the other, and then they can use it in the correct, in the moving forward timeline. It's just brilliant.
What about the Survival Guide to the Future?
There you go. See? Exactly. Survival Guide to the Future.
It's like time.
Exactly. It's just. I mean, and why is he putting things like Easter eggs about JFK in the end of Oppenheimer? Why is he getting Leonardo DiCaprio to say Trump's in his Inception movie? Why is Dunkirk 88 Trump? Why is Tenet 64? 8 times 8 is 88. Why is his little short film Q key? Because Q is a key to the, it's brilliant. All of this is brilliant, but the bookcase is talking to us, Matt, and you picked it up today on the show. It's talking, that's what it is. It's like, that's where it's coming from. And I think our future versions of ourselves are big parts of those, are sending the messages to us to decode, because I'm like, where on earth is this coming from? And I'm very grateful for it. And I think I've even caught ones. Sometimes I see the sky and I catch a light and then it disappears. And sometimes I thought, that could have been me in a Merkaba or something in the future, just saying hello. I can see me, but I can't see them yet, or me yet. You know what I'm saying? Marty McFly, he sees versions of himself, but the one in the current timeline doesn't see it. It's just, it's incredible, But the bookcase is a key component to this. Bookcase 71, you flip it, you inverse it as 17Q. 17 plus 71 comes to 88 Trump. It's just brilliant, And this is just the tip of the iceberg.
What's that?
Oh,
I said it just fits. You keep interrupting.
Yeah, it just fits. It just fits, yeah. It's like you and me were probably on missions in the future, and that's why we've met now.
Yeah. I believe
that as well. Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Our own selves are sitting behind the the bookcase, the bookshelf,
Uh-huh.
and a little dust is falling off, right? Book knocks over.
Yeah. And then
I'm going to be
it's
more,
binary.
aware of these things. I'm going to be more in tune with this stuff now.
Don, save my children. Will I leave Earth and come back, you know? And why is he called Tom? Why is the son called Tom? And why is Murph? Murph is 76, or Murphy 76. It's like, is Thomas a magic one? It's like, what is just going on? You know, it's just bizarre. It's so bizarre.
Well, it's a good reason why people shouldn't panic and people should embrace what's coming. Not
Exactly. Don't panic, prepare, and then enjoy it. Yeah.
And enjoy it. And enjoy it. I think we're going to be, something's going to just open up here. Something huge.
Yeah.
We'll be ready for it. We'll be ready for it. Yeah.
Do you think, I mean, 4 years ago was glorious, really. And now this, whatever's coming is just coming. It's coming. Something's coming.
Maybe this is the stuff Tesla figured out, right? This could be part of the stuff.
Of course, all of that. Looking Glass.
Tesla, you know, maybe Tesla figured out the formula how to get in touch with the bookshelf while standing in front of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that's part of the technology that we haven't even heard about, right? We don't even really know much about Tesla. Tesla papers were taken away by the government, seized. Why were they so anxious to do that? We're made to believe, okay, maybe he could have made an efficient electric car. Was that it? I doubt it.
Yeah.
You know, probably so much stuff.
Yeah. And who's talking of Tesla? Who played Tesla in Christopher Nolan's film The Prestige?
It was
Bowie.
Was it David Bowie?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And he's definitely witness protection. He was one of the first in 2016 to go, and that was a year of mainly witness protection. All those characters, you work out the dates and names and play Patrick Swayze did a decode on him yesterday. And it's brilliant. People suggest that he could be playing Tom Cruise, and I was like, that's brilliant. And then I did a whole bunch of decodes on Patrick Swayze, and it all comes out to witness protection. And I've been saying for ages I think he is. And then I get the Johan Cruyff one today, and it's like they have to tell you. That's the thing, they have to tell you. And it's like, okay, do you know how to see it? Can you read it? Can you figure it out? And that's just part of my job, is just to point these things out, and then people can make their own discoveries, you know. But it's being the future is beaming a message constantly back to us in the present now, and we can pick it up. Amazing. It's brilliant. It's just so cool. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, I would love to talk with you for hours about this stuff, but I got to get back.
Yeah.
I can hear people coming in right now. I'd love to just sit here.
Probably your future self coming in to check.
Yeah. Imagine.
I know, man. Well, good to see you, buddy. You're looking well. I'll see you in a few days. And everyone, just so, how can they get in touch?
480-725-0536. Answer all my own phones. And your people have been calling in. We've been having some interesting conversations. They get it, man.
Good.
Get it. Yeah.
My audience are a brilliant, bright audience. Yeah.
They are. They make it fun. They make it it doesn't feel like work, you know. I don't, it's like I come to a place where it's like I enjoy coming here every day. You know, I love the people I deal with.
Yeah.
You know, some are more awake than others, but your crowd, always a good time.
They're good.
Thank you, you know, to all the people that have, you know, done some business. We're grateful for it. Brilliant. And still waiting on the George magazines. No joke. I have everybody's card written out.
Yeah.
I know some people have been trying to, you know, they're like, you know, you're going to send it out? It's like, yeah, just waiting. George magazine sometimes takes a little bit of time to get the stuff out, but I ordered stacks of this stuff. I probably dropped, you know, $1,500 on just stuff to send out to people.
Cool.
Because that's important to me, you know? So, yeah. Plus I think I ordered a lot of the issues that I have my article in.
Good.
Actually really interesting. I'll just tell you real quick. Somebody called me, not from your show, but somebody actually called me from reading my article in George. And they don't watch podcasts. They had no idea who you were, or some of the other places I sit in on. They had no idea, you know, because I always check that stuff. I always want to be sure, you know, where And it was just funny because I got somebody who's like, yeah, read your article in George. We loved it. You know, let's do something.
Nice.
And that was kind of, you know, kind of gratifying, where I wrote about gold, silver, right? Kind of the history, my interpretation of the history of it.
Yeah.
Some of it I could be wrong about. Most of it I think I'm right. But it's
We'll
fun,
have to
man.
do that. We'll have to get you doing it. We spoke about it when we started together, but maybe a little bit of like an email, a newsletter on your thoughts on gold and silver, and that would be fun to put in.
I like talking about everything else. You know, gold and silver is easy to talk. There's only so much you can say about it. You know, I love talking about the stuff we're talking about on this episode. To me, that's fun.
That summary of this stuff. Yeah.
It's like way more interesting. And then if you want to buy gold and silver, come to me, you know, and we can talk about other stuff.
Yeah, it's a good bonus.
Gold and silver will just be a formality of whatever it is, you know, people. I've had your viewers call in just to chat. It's fun, man. It's
good.
We're in for some good times ahead. I can tell.
Yeah, we are. They're a good crowd. So yeah, give Matt a call, and we're going to sort out a text number for me, aren't we? We're going to get that. We'll get a text number.
I'm going to remind him today. Sorry, I've been moving.
No, I know you have. I've been just a bit.
A little nasal. You can probably hear. I caught a little bit of a cold over the weekend. So, but I'm good. I'm back in there. I'm about 95% right now. So.
Good. Well, 95 is Tuesday. And that's when the election is. So yeah.
That's today.
All right, my friend. And it's today, yeah. Yeah. Godspeed, brother. See you in a few days. Take care, man. Cheers, man. Bye. Bye.